Title: Alchemy Emperor, Rise of Yi Chan. Chapter 1: The Final Moment. Before everything ended, Yi Chan's life had been painfully ordinary. Not the kind of ordinary that brings comfort, but the kind that slowly drains meaning from a person without them noticing. Days blurred into nights, nights into deadlines, and deadlines into exhaustion. He was a third-year university student majoring in applied chemistry, though even that title felt heavier than reality deserved. His world was one of formulas written on whiteboards, lab reports stained with coffee, and lectures that sounded like echoes of older minds repeating themselves. Professors spoke of reactions, catalysts, and molecular transformations as if they were poetry. For Yi Chan, they were just equations to memorize, reproduce, and forget. He was not special, not talented, not chosen, just another student trying to survive a system that rewarded endurance more than curiosity. That evening, like many others, he stayed late at the university library. The building was nearly empty. Rows of desks stretched under fluorescent lights that hummed softly, as if even electricity itself was tired. Outside, rain fell heavily over the city, pressing against glass windows in uneven rhythms. Yi Chan sat alone, hunched over a desk filled with printed research papers. His backpack hung loosely on the chair beside him, half-zipped, exposing notebooks filled with annotations. He rubbed his eyes, forcing himself to focus on catalytic efficiency models. "Why does nothing ever feel enough?" he muttered quietly. No one answered. Only the sound of rain did. Time passed without meaning. When he finally finished reviewing the last page, he glanced at his phone. 11:47 p.m. Too late to go back to the dorm. He sighed, gathered his papers, and stood up. Outside, the world was drenched in neon reflections. Streetlights shimmered across wet asphalt, painting distorted colors over passing vehicles. Cars moved sluggishly through traffic, headlights cutting through the rain like weak blades of light. Yi Chan tightened his jacket and stepped out of the library. The cold air hit his face immediately. He lowered his head slightly, adjusting his backpack straps. He did not notice the truck. It came from the side street without warning. The sound of brakes screamed too late. A blinding white light filled his vision. For a fraction of a second, everything slowed. Rain suspended midair. Sound distorted into a long, stretched silence. Yi Chan turned his head slightly. Oh, there was no time to finish the thought. Impact. And then nothing. Death, however, was not what he expected. There was no tunnel of light, no divine voice, no overwhelming darkness swallowing consciousness instantly. Instead, there was cold. Deep, penetrating cold. As if his entire existence had been submerged into frozen water. Then came awareness. Slow. Fragmented. Pain did not arrive first, memory did. Not his memory, but someone else's. A mountain village. Wooden houses built against green hills. A boy with the same name, Yi Chan. Weak body, fever, herbal medicine, a mother crying beside him. And then, a merging. Two lives colliding into one impossible identity. Yi Chan gasped. His eyes opened. A wooden ceiling above him. Smoke stains curling along beams. The smell of dried herbs and earth. He tried to move, and succeeded slowly, as if the body was unfamiliar. "Channer." A voice trembled beside him. He turned his head. A woman sat at his bedside, middle-aged, tired eyes, hands rough from labor. She looked at him with overwhelming relief. "Thank the heavens you're awake." Something inside him shifted. Instinctively, words escaped his lips. "Mother." The woman froze. Then tears filled her eyes. "Yes, yes, I'm here." Yi Chan stared at her. Not confusion. Not disbelief. But analysis. His mind, conditioned by years of scientific thinking, immediately tried to classify the situation. Unknown environment. Different linguistic structure. Unfamiliar biological identity. Memory integration detected. Conclusion, impossible scenario. And yet he was breathing. He slowly sat up. Pain pulsed through his body, but it was manageable. Outside the window, the world was unfamiliar, trees taller than anything in cities he knew. Air cleaner, denser somehow, alive in a way Earth's atmosphere never felt. He leaned back slightly. So this is how it ends. A pause, and begins again. Unlike most people, Yi-chan did not panic. He adapted, because denial had no utility. Days passed, then weeks. Yi-chan learned the rules of this new life quickly. He was in a small mountain village called King Valley. His father, Yi-jun, was a hunter who disappeared into forests for days at a time. His mother, Lin Mei, was a herbalist respected among villagers for her knowledge of medicinal plants. Their house was simple, wood, stone, and clay, but stable. At first, Yi-chan pretended to be recovering from illness. He observed everything carefully, every word spoken, every gesture made. When Lin Mei prepared herbal medicine, he studied the process in silence. When Yi-jun returned with beast meat and spoke of forest dangers, Yi-chan stored every detail. Patterns began forming in his mind. This world was structured, but not scientifically documented. Knowledge existed, but in fragmented traditions rather than systematic study. That alone fascinated him. One evening, as the sun set behind distant peaks, Yi-chan sat outside the wooden house. The sky was strange. Stars burned brighter than anything he had ever seen on Earth. And something else. A faint energy in the air. Not visible, but perceptible, like pressure against his skin. He extended his hand slightly. What is this? A memory surfaced from the original body. A word. Achi. Yi-chan repeated it silently. Achi. If that existed, then the laws of this world were fundamentally different. Which meant they could be understood, studied, manipulated. A faint smile formed on his lips. I see. This world was not chaos. It was simply a higher-order system waiting to be decoded. 3 months later, everything changed. A sound echoed across the sky. Not thunder, not wind. A sword. A man stood upon it, descending slowly like a falling star controlled by will. The village froze. Children cried, adults fell silent, even birds stopped singing. The man landed in the central square. Robes of green and white fluttered gently. His eyes scanned the crowd. I am Elder Han Rui of Green Cloud Sect, he said calmly. We are conducting spirit root testing. A wave of shock spread through the village. Sect. That word alone carried weight. Cultivators. Real ones. Yi-chan's heartbeat quickened, not with fear but anticipation. This was the entry point. The first gateway into the system he had been analyzing. Testing began. A crystal pillar was placed in the square. Children approached one by one. Most results were dull. No light. Weak light. Occasional faint glow. Nothing extraordinary. The elder's expression never changed. Until Yi-chan stepped forward. He walked slowly. Calmly. He placed his hand on the crystal. Silence. Then, a pulse. Green light erupted, followed immediately by crimson flame. The crystal vibrated violently. The air itself seemed to tremble. Gasps erupted from the crowd. The elder's eyes sharpened. Wood and fire resonance. He stepped forward slightly. Dual spirit root. Murmurs exploded everywhere. Yi-jun clenched his fists in disbelief. Lin Mei covered her mouth. But Yi-chan only felt something simple. Confirmation. Not surprise. Validation. This system, I am compatible. The elder's voice lowered. Come with me. That night the flying vessel arrived. A massive wooden ship floating in the air, glowing faintly with spiritual inscriptions. The villagers gathered to watch. Some with pride, some with fear. Yi-chan stood at the edge of the deck. Wind pressed against his clothes, as the vessel rose into the sky. Below him, the village shrank into a small cluster of lights, surrounded by endless mountains. He did not look back immediately. Instead, he looked forward. Clouds stretched endlessly. Peaks floated in the distance like islands in the sky. And somewhere beyond, a world of cultivation, alchemy, and immortality awaited. Yi-chan closed his eyes briefly. Earth was a world of knowledge, he murmured. Then he opened them. This will be a world of creation. The wind grew stronger. The vessel ascended into the clouds. And with it, the life of Yi-chan, the mortal, ended completely. And the path of Yi-chan, the alchemy emperor, began. Chapter 2, A New World. Yi-chan woke before sunrise. The mountain village was quiet except for the distant sound of flowing water and the occasional cry of a bird. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then the scent of dried herbs hanging from the ceiling reached his nose, and reality returned. This was not Earth. It had been nearly 3 weeks since he awoke in this strange world. 3 weeks since his death. 3 weeks since he inherited another person's life. He sat up slowly. Outside the small wooden house, the first rays of dawn painted the mountains gold. "Channer, are you awake?" Lin Mei's voice came from the kitchen. "Yes, Mother. Come eat, we're heading into the forest today." Yi-chan smiled faintly. The word mother still felt strange, yet each day it became easier to say. After breakfast, he followed Lin Mei along a narrow forest trail. The mountains surrounding the village were rich with medicinal plants. Villagers often risked dangerous journeys into the woods to collect herbs they could trade in nearby towns. Lin Mei carried a woven basket. "Today I'll teach you the difference between herbs that look similar," she said. Yi-chan nodded eagerly. During the past few weeks, herb gathering had become his favorite activity. Not because of the money, because of the knowledge. As they walked deeper into the forest, sunlight filtered through ancient trees. Lin Mei knelt beside 2 nearly identical plants. "Tell me the difference." Yi-chan crouched beside her. The first plant had slightly darker leaves. The second had a faint silver pattern near its roots. "This one is green leaf grass," he said. "And this is silver root." Lin Mei raised an eyebrow. "Correct." Yi-chan smiled. She had expected him to struggle. Instead, he remembered nearly everything. On Earth, he had relied on careful observation and structured learning. Those habits remained useful here. Lin Mei continued the lesson. "This herb heals burns. This one reduces fever. This one becomes poisonous if harvested incorrectly." Hours passed. Yi-chan absorbed every detail. The forest seemed like a living encyclopedia waiting to be studied. Eventually, they reached a stream. Lin Mei began washing collected herbs, while Yi-chan explored nearby. Suddenly, he stopped. A patch of crimson flowers grew beside a moss-covered rock. Their petals glowed faintly in the sunlight. "What are those?" Lin Mei looked surprised. "Red flame blossoms. They shouldn't grow here." Yi-chan carefully examined them. The flowers appeared healthy despite being far outside their normal habitat. "Interesting. Very interesting." His scientific instincts immediately began searching for explanations. Perhaps the soil composition was different. Perhaps underground minerals affected growth. Perhaps... "Don't touch them." Lin Mei interrupted his thoughts. "They can cause skin irritation." Yi-chan nodded. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about them. The world was filled with mysteries. And he wanted answers. By midday, they returned to the village. Word had already spread that a traveling merchant had arrived. Villagers gathered near the square. The merchant stood beside a wagon loaded with goods. Spices, cloth, tools, books. Yi-chan's attention immediately focused on the books. Most villagers ignored them. Yi-chan practically sprinted forward. The merchant laughed. "You like reading." "Very much." The old merchant pulled out a worn volume. "Local herb guide." Yi-chan opened it eagerly. Although simple, the book contained information unavailable in the village. He spent nearly an hour reading. Eventually, the merchant asked, "Have you ever considered becoming an alchemist?" Yi-chan froze. The question struck directly at his hidden dream. "Why do you ask?" The merchant chuckled. "Because only herb lovers stare at plants the way you do." Several villagers laughed. Yi-chan smiled awkwardly. The merchant's expression became more serious. "Alchemy is difficult. I know. It requires talent. I know. It requires resources. I know." The merchant studied him. "Then why are you interested?" Yi-chan thought for a moment. Because knowledge fascinated him. Because discovery fascinated him. Because this world offered possibilities Earth never could. Finally, he answered honestly. "I want to understand how things work." The merchant blinked, then laughed. "Interesting answer. Most children talked about power, or wealth, or glory. Very few talked about understanding." That evening, the merchant shared stories with the villagers. Stories about cultivators. Stories about sects. Stories about distant cities. Yi-chan listened carefully. One tale captured his attention more than any other. A famous alchemist had refined a pill capable of helping cultivators break through major bottlenecks. The pill sold for enough wealth to support an entire village for years. "Why are alchemists so important?" Yi-chan asked. The merchant smiled. "Because cultivators need pills. Pills improve cultivation. Pills heal injuries. Pills save lives." He paused. "And because very few people can refine them successfully." The conversation continued late into the night. By the time Yi-chan returned home, his determination had doubled. He wanted to become an alchemist. No, he needed to become one. The next morning brought unexpected excitement. A messenger arrived from a neighboring town. Children ran through the streets shouting. Parents emerged from their homes. "What happened?" Yi-chan asked. The answer came quickly. Green Cloud Sect is conducting spirit root testing. The village erupted. Every child dreamed about joining a sect. Every parent dreamed about raising a cultivator. For ordinary villagers, sect membership represented opportunity. Power, status, security. Yi-chan's heart raced. Spirit root testing. This was the gateway to cultivation. Without spiritual roots, cultivation was impossible. With spiritual roots, countless possibilities opened. That evening, villagers gathered around a bonfire discussing rumors. "I heard Green Cloud Sect disciples can fly. I heard they control spirit beasts. I heard they live for hundreds of years." The stories grew increasingly exaggerated. Yet beneath the exaggeration lay truth. Cultivators genuinely stood above ordinary mortals. Yi-chan remained quiet. Instead of daydreaming, he focused on gathering information. "What exactly are spirit roots?" An elderly villager answered. "They determine how well a person absorbs spiritual energy. Some people possess none. Some possess one affinity. Rare geniuses possess multiple affinities." Yi-chan's interest deepened. The explanation reminded him of scientific compatibility systems. Different individuals possessed different natural talents. The discussion continued. Various elemental affinities were mentioned. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. Each possessed unique characteristics. Yi-chan listened carefully. Wood affinity seemed closely connected to herbs and life energy. Fire affinity played an important role in alchemy. Interesting. Very interesting. A possibility began forming in his mind. Days passed quickly. Excitement filled the village. Children practiced imaginary cultivation techniques. Parents prepared their families. Merchants anticipated increased business. Meanwhile, Yi-chan continued studying herbs. One afternoon, he encountered an elderly traveler resting beside the road. The old man wore simple robes. Nothing about him appeared unusual. Yet something felt different. "Young man," the traveler said, "why do you stare at plants so much?" Yi-chan laughed. "Because they're interesting." The old man raised an eyebrow. "Interesting. They grow differently depending on conditions. They adapt. They change." The traveler stared at him. Most children gave simple answers. This answer sounded different. Almost scholarly. "What do you want to become?" "An alchemist." The old man's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why?" "Because alchemy combines knowledge with cultivation." The traveler smiled. "A good answer." Before leaving, he handed Yi-chan a small dried leaf. "What is this?" "A test." The traveler walked away. Yi-chan examined the leaf. After several minutes, recognition dawned. It wasn't medicinal. It wasn't poisonous. It was simply an ordinary leaf, intentionally dried in a specific manner. The realization made him grin. The traveler had been testing his observation skills. Interesting. Very interesting. That night, Yi-chan stood alone outside his home. The stars above remained unfamiliar. Yet they no longer felt distant. This world was slowly becoming his home. He looked toward the mountains. Beyond them lay green cloud sect. Beyond them lay cultivation. Beyond them lay alchemy. And beyond them lay a future he could barely imagine. Then a distant light appeared in the night sky. At first he thought it was a star. Then it moved. The light crossed the heavens, growing larger, growing brighter. Several villagers noticed. Gasps spread through the village. "It's flying." "A cultivator." "No." Someone pointed upward. "A flying vessel." Yi-chan's pulse accelerated. The vessel glided through the clouds like a ship sailing an invisible sea. Green symbols glowed along its sides. Power radiated from it. The sight left everyone speechless. The vessel vanished beyond the mountains. Yet its destination was obvious. Green Cloud Sect had arrived. Spirit root testing would begin soon. Yi-chan clenched his fists. Everything he wanted depended on what happened next. Would he possess cultivation talent? Would the path of alchemy open before him? Or would his dreams end before they truly began? The answer awaited. And for the first time since arriving in this world, Yi-chan felt genuine nervousness. Far beyond the village, an elder standing aboard the flying vessel reviewed a list of destinations. His gaze paused briefly. A strange feeling passed through him, as though something unusual awaited ahead. The elder frowned, then looked toward the mountains, toward the village, toward Yi-chan. Destiny was moving, and neither of them could stop it. Chapter 3: Strange Memories. Yi-chan could not sleep. The night after the flying vessel appeared, his thoughts refused to settle. The image of a colossal sect ship cutting through the clouds lingered in his mind. But more troubling were the memories. They were no longer fragments. They were becoming complete scenes. Beneath the night sky, Yi-chan closed his eyes. A memory surfaced immediately. He was a child, running through forest paths with village friends. A boy named Wu Jian shoved him. "You always act smarter than everyone." Laughter followed. The memory shifted. Old man Ren stood near the forest edge. "Never go beyond Black Cliff Ridge," he warned. "Why?" young Yi-chan asked. "There are things even cultivators fear." The memory ended. Yi-chan opened his eyes. Black Cliff Ridge again. The next morning, he asked his father, "Have cultivators been here before?" "Once," Yi-jun replied. "What about Black Cliff Ridge?" Silence. Finally, a battle happened there. His mother added, "Don't go near it." but curiosity only deepened. Another memory surfaced that night. A hidden valley, strange glowing plants, and a burned tree still alive with green leaves. When young Yi-chan touched it, heat exploded through his body. The memory shattered, but the sensation remained. Real. More fragments followed. A stone tablet. Wood. Fire. Origin. Yi-chan frowned. Everything pointed to the same truth. He visited Old Man Ren. My grandfather spoke of that place, the old man said. 2 cultivators fought there. One used wood techniques. One used fire. And both disappeared. Days later, Yi-chan went to the valley. It existed exactly as in memory. Ancient trees, strange silence, and the burned tree at its center. He touched it. A pulse of energy surged through him. Spiritual energy. Real. The stone tablet stood nearby. The remaining words glowed faintly. When wood and fire unite, origin awakens. Yi-chan froze. Origin. Voices suddenly approached. Treasure hunters. We were told something is here. Yi-chan hid silently. The valley was not forgotten. After they left, Yi-chan remained deep in thought. This place was not ordinary. It was connected to wood and fire. And possibly, to him. That night, another memory surfaced. A voice echoed from the burned tree. Seed accepted. Yi-chan sat frozen. Seed? What seed? The next morning, his father looked at him. You seem troubled. Yi-chan forced a smile, just thinking. His father nodded. Be careful with your choices. That evening, Yi-chan stood looking toward the mountains. Toward the valley. Toward destiny. Something was awakening inside him. And soon, everything would begin. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4, Spirit Root Test begins. The morning sky above Green Cloud Village was still and heavy, as if the world itself was watching. Today was Spirit Root Testing Day. Yi-chan stood outside his home before sunrise. Behind him, Lin-mei prepared food with trembling hands. Yi-jun stayed silent, sharpening his blade. No one spoke much. The meaning of today did not need words. Lin-mei finally said, if you don't have talent, you can still live peacefully. Yi-chan replied calmly, I just want to know what I am. Yi-jun placed a hand on his shoulder. No matter what happens, you are my son. That was enough. By mid-morning, the village square had changed completely. A black stone platform stood at the center. A glowing crystal pillar rose from it. The Spirit Root Stone. Green Cloud sect disciples stood nearby. At the front was Elder Han Rui. Begin. One by one, children tested. Most failed. Some had weak earth or water affinity. Then, Fang Wei, a confident boy, stepped forward. He placed his hand on the crystal. Boom. Flames erupted. Then green light appeared beneath it. Fire and wood dual affinity. Gasps filled the square. Fang Wei withdrew his hand calmly. He was satisfied. Yi-chan. His turn came. He stepped forward, placed his hand on the crystal. At first, nothing. Then green light appeared. Wood affinity. Then fire ignited. The crystal trembled violently. The two energies clashed. Inside Yi-chan's mind. A burned tree. A stone tablet. Wood. Fire. Origin. The crystal exploded with light. Shockwaves spread. The elder raised his hand to suppress it. Silence returned. Elder Han Rui stared. Unstable dual root, but rare. Yi-chan stepped back. Something inside him had awakened. Fang Wei later approached. You're not ordinary. Yi-chan replied, neither are you. Fang Wei smirked. Good. I don't want boring rivals. That night, Yi-chan looked at the mountains. Something was calling him. Beyond them, the future had begun. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5, Arrival at Green Cloud Sect. Yi-chan's journey to the Green Cloud Sect took 3 days, each hour pulling him further from his old life and deeper into a world of cultivation. The carriage they traveled in floated above the ground, carried by invisible spiritual force. Forests, rivers, and mountains passed beneath them like painted scrolls. Yi-chan observed everything in silence. Across from him, Fang Wei meditated with closed eyes. The other children whispered in excitement, unable to contain their awe. But Yi-chan remained focused inward. Wood, fire, origin. The words never left him. On the 3rd day, the world changed. The air grew dense with spiritual energy. Breathing itself felt different. This is Green Cloud Sect territory, a disciple announced. The children rushed to the windows and froze. A massive mountain range floated in the sky. Peaks suspended without chains. Waterfalls flowing upward. Islands drifting in clouds. At the center stood a colossal gate, engraved with glowing characters. Green Cloud Sect. A pressure descended instantly. Some children collapsed. Even Fang Wei paused. Yi-chan felt it too. A silent, overwhelming force. The carriage landed on a vast stone platform. Elder Mo stood waiting. Welcome to Green Cloud Sect. You are candidates. Not disciples. Candidates. A cold reality. First trial, spirit steps. A staircase rose into the clouds. Those who fail will be eliminated. The climb began. Immediately, pressure crushed downward. Not physical. Spiritual. Some collapsed instantly. Others gave up. Fang Wei climbed steadily upward. Yi-chan followed behind. Observing. The pressure moved in rhythm. Not random. Wave-like. He adjusted. Step. Breathe. Step. Breathe. The burden lessened. Understanding replaced resistance. Fang Wei glanced back. You're slow. I'm careful, Yi-chan replied. Fang Wei smirked. Careful doesn't win. He accelerated upward. At the summit, only a few remained. Elder Mo nodded. Pass. You are outer sect disciples. Relief spread. But Yi-chan remained alert. This was only the beginning. The sect was immense. Floating halls. Flying swords. Alchemy smoke rising in the distance. A living cultivation world. Assignments were given. Fang Wei combat division. Others labor and basic roles. Then, Yi-chan. Silence. Alchemy hall. Whispers spread instantly. Alchemy. Fang Wei looked over. Interesting, he muttered. The alchemy hall smelled of herbs and fire. Instructor Liu studied Yi-chan. Most come here after failing combat. Yi-chan replied calmly. I did not fail. A faint smile appeared. I like your confidence. First lesson, refinement. Most students failed immediately. Explosions filled the hall. Except Yi-chan. He observed. Then refined. Controlled heat. Precise balance. No explosion. Only success. Instructor Liu narrowed his eyes. Interesting. Fang Wei later appeared. You chose alchemy. Yes. That path is weak. Yi-chan looked at him. Then why does the sect need it? Silence. Fang Wei laughed. You're different. Then he left. I will become the strongest. That night, Yi-chan cultivated. Immediately. Wood energy stirred. Fire energy responded. They clashed. Pain surged. But deeper inside, something awakened. A burned tree appeared. Watching, Alive. Deep in the sect archives, a jade slip trembled. Origin seed resonance detected. Then silence. No one noticed. Yi-chan looked at the sect horizon. He had entered a new world. But something inside him had already awakened. And everything was about to change. Chapter 6, First Alchemy Explosion. The alchemy hall was never truly quiet. Even at dawn, faint smoke curled from furnaces that never fully cooled. Herbs dried in hanging racks rustled slightly under shifting spiritual currents. And somewhere deep inside the hall, explosions were almost routine. But today felt different. Instructor Liu noticed it immediately. Yi-chan had arrived early. Earlier than anyone else. He stood in front of his furnace, staring at the ingredients laid out before him. Spirit root stabilizing grass. Flame guiding root. Copper leaf powder. Basic materials. But in Yi-chan's eyes, they were not basic. They were systems. Reactions waiting to be controlled. Instructor Liu narrowed his eyes from across the hall. That boy again. Ever since his arrival, Yi-chan had not made a single mistake in basic refinement. Not once. That alone was unusual. But what concerned Liu more was that Yi-chan never seemed satisfied. The assignment. Today, Instructor Liu announced, you will refine spirit nourishment pills. A simple beginner pill, used to restore stamina and stabilize weak meridians. Easy in theory. Explosive in practice. If your control is poor, Liu added calmly, you will fail. A few students laughed nervously. Others swallowed hard. Yi-chan didn't react. He already understood something most of them didn't. In this world, simple meant unforgiving. First attempts. Furnaces lit up across the hall. Flames roared. Herbs were thrown in too quickly. Boom! A nearby furnace exploded, sending a student backwards covered in soot. Another failed instantly. Too much fire. You burn the essence. Start again. Chaos unfolded as usual. Instructor Liu sighed. Then he looked again at Yi-chan. Still no movement. Just observation. Yi-chan begins. Finally, Yi-chan placed his herbs into the furnace. Not all at once. One by one. He wasn't rushing. He was mapping. Copper leaf powder first. Low heat. Let the structure stabilize. Then flame guiding root. But instead of increasing fire, he reduced it. Subtly. The surrounding students frowned. What is he doing? That's too slow. But Yi-chan wasn't cooking. He was balancing. Every herb had a different tolerance threshold. Every reaction had a delay. And every delay mattered. Instructor Liu notices. Liu stepped forward slightly. His expression changed. He's controlling reaction sequencing. That was not beginner-level thinking. That was refinement theory. Advanced. Unusually advanced. The first instability. Inside Yi-chan's furnace. The mixture began to glow. Green light flickered. Then, red sparks. The energy inside the pill started to clash. A normal student would panic here. Increase fire. Force stabilization. That would cause explosion. But Yi-chan didn't. He narrowed his eyes. And did something strange. He split the heat flow. Not increasing. Not decreasing. Redirecting. The furnace reacts. The furnace shook violently. The entire hall noticed. What's happening? Is he failing? Instructor Liu stepped forward. Stop him. But it was too late. Boom. A massive explosion erupted from Yi-chan's furnace. Shockwave rippled outward. Tables flipped. Students were thrown backward. Smoke filled the hall instantly. Coughing erupted everywhere. Damn it, another failure. I told you he was overconfident. Even Fang Wei, who had just entered the hall for training observation, paused at the entrance. He frowned. Explosion. A faint smirk appeared. So even alchemy geniuses fail. Silence after smoke. But then, something unexpected happened. The smoke did not disperse. It condensed. Instructor Liu's eyes widened. That's not normal smoke. Inside the furnace, a faint glowing orb hovered. Pulsing, stable, controlled. A pill, not destroyed, not broken, refined. The first pill, a perfect spirit nourishment pill, floated above the ashes. Green-gold in color, slightly unstable at the edges, but undeniably successful. The hall went silent, completely silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Even Fang Wei's expression changed slightly. He succeeded. A student whispered. But there was an explosion. Instructor Liu walked forward slowly. He picked up the pill, examined it. Then his eyes narrowed sharply. This is not beginner refinement. This is forced condensation through controlled rupture. He turned to Yi Chan. You used the explosion as part of the refinement process. Yi Chan wiped his hands calmly. I adjusted when stability failed. Silence. Then Instructor Liu laughed once. Low. Deep. Interesting. Very interesting. Fang Wei's reaction. Fang Wei stepped forward. You turned failure into success. Yi Chan looked at him. Was it failure? Fang Wei didn't respond immediately. Then he said, No. A pause. Then he smirked slightly. You're becoming annoying. Yi Chan replied calmly. You'll get used to it. The hall changes. After that moment, everything in the alchemy hall changed. Students no longer laughed at Yi Chan. They watched him, carefully, like observing something unpredictable. Instructor Liu personally reviewed his process twice, without saying anything, but his interest had clearly deepened. That night, the real change begins. Yi Chan sat alone in his room. The pill he refined lay on the table. It still emitted faint warmth. He studied it, not with pride, with analysis. Something had felt strange during the process. When the explosion happened, something inside him responded. Not the furnace, not the herbs. Him. He closed his eyes. Inner energy circulation began. Wood energy stirred first. Then fire energy followed. As always, they clashed. But this time, something different happened. A third pulse appeared. Weak, faint, but undeniable. From somewhere deeper inside his body. A reaction. A seed-like resonance. Yi Chan opened his eyes instantly. What was that? Deep within the sect. Far beneath Green Cloud Sect. Inside a sealed chamber no disciple knew existed. A cracked jade slab flickered once. Then again. Ancient writing resurfaced faintly. Origin seed activation, unstable host detected. A black-robed shadow stood nearby. After so many years, it finally responded. But the voice did not belong to anyone recorded in the sect's history. Back in the room, Yi Chan stood up slowly. He looked at his hand, then at the pill, then out the window toward the floating mountains. This world, it's hiding too many things. Outside, wind moved through the sect. But for the first time since his arrival, Yi Chan felt it clearly. Something was watching him. Not Fang Wei. Not the elders. Something older. Something buried. And now, it had begun to awaken. Chapter 7, Fang Wei's Challenge. The morning mist over Green Cloud Sect had not yet dispersed when the challenge was issued. It arrived not as a formal announcement, but as a message carried by a sword. A thin blade of light pierced through the air and landed in front of the Alchemy Hall, embedding itself into the ground with a sharp clang. The entire hall paused. Even Instructor Liu mid-lecture stopped speaking. Yi Chan looked up from his furnace. The sword was not ordinary. It pulsed with spiritual intent. Carved into its handle was a single word. Fang, the Challenge. A disciple from the combat division stood at the entrance. Yi Chan, he called loudly. Fang Wei requests a duel. Silence. Then murmurs spread instantly. A duel? Already? He just entered the sect. Instructor Liu's eyes narrowed slightly. But he said nothing. He simply looked at Yi Chan. Yi Chan wiped his hands calmly. No reason is given, he asked. The disciple smirked slightly. Do you need one? That's how cultivation works here. Strength speaks first. Rules come later. From the far end of the hall, Fang Wei appeared. He walked slowly, confidently, as always. Behind him, combat division disciples watched with interest. This was not a casual challenge. This was a statement. Fang Wei stopped a few steps away from Yi Chan. You embarrassed the entry batch, he said casually. Yi Chan replied, I refined a pill. Fang Wei smiled faintly. That explosion technique, people are talking. It's strange. Unstable. A pause. Then he added, I want to see if it's luck or skill. Instructor Liu's intervention. Instructor Liu finally stepped forward. This is the Alchemy Hall, he said calmly. No duels inside. Fang Wei shrugged. We can go to the training platform. Or outside sect limits. It doesn't matter. His gaze sharpened slightly. I just want to test him. Liu looked at Yi Chan. Not as a student now, but as something else. Something being observed. Yi Chan spoke slowly. What exactly is the purpose of this duel? Fang Wei answered immediately. To see if you deserve attention. A pause. Then he added, in this sect, attention is earned through strength. Yi Chan nodded slightly. I understand. Then he said something unexpected. Then I accept. The sect reacts. News spread instantly. Outer disciples gathered around the training platform. Even inner sect observers appeared in the distance. Fang Wei, the rising combat genius, and Yi Chan, the strange alchemy newcomer. A duel between fire and unknown. The platform was a wide stone, arena floating above a canyon. Wind howled beneath it. Fang Wei stood on one side, Yi Chan on the other. A crowd formed around the edges. Instructor Liu stood at the boundary, expression unreadable. He did not stop it, but he did not approve either. Fang Wei's pressure. Fang Wei stretched his hand slightly. A flame ignited in his palm. But it was not ordinary fire. It carried structure, refined combat energy. Show me your alchemy, he said. Yi Chan did not respond immediately. Instead, he looked at the arena. At the ground, at the air currents, at the spiritual density. He was analyzing again. Fang Wei frowned slightly. You're still thinking. I thought you were confident. Yi Chan replied calmly. I am. I'm just understanding the environment. First move. Fang Wei moved first. Fast. Too fast for most outer disciples to see clearly. A flame-coated punch shot forward. Boom. The air exploded. Yi Chan stepped sideways. Barely. The heat brushed past his face. The stone behind him cracked instantly. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Too strong. He's serious. Fang Wei didn't stop. Second strike. Third. Fire fists rained down. Each one precise. Each one lethal. Yi Chan continued to evade. Not perfectly, but efficiently. He was not reacting emotionally. He was mapping Fang Wei's rhythm. Fast attacks, linear patterns, predictable bursts, but powerful. The shift. Fang Wei stopped suddenly. You're just dodging. That's disappointing. He raised his hand. Flames condensed. This time, the fire changed color. Deeper red. Denser pressure. Even observers stepped back instinctively. This is his real technique. Instructor Liu narrowed his eyes. Fire art burning coil. Fang Wei's voice dropped. The flames spiraled violently around his arm, then launched forward like a coiling dragon. The entire arena shook. Yi Chan responds. For the first time, Yi Chan moved forward instead of backward. He raised his hand, not attacking, not defending, but analyzing. The flame approached, and he felt it. Structure, heat flow, energy density. Then, he did something no one expected. He reached into his storage pouch, pulled out crushed medicinal residue from his earlier experiment, and threw it into the air. The crowd froze. What is he doing? Is he giving up? Fang Wei frowned slightly. But then, Yi Chan activated his technique. Alchemy reaction, instability trigger. The medicinal powder ignited midair. Not as fire, but as a catalytic reaction field. The incoming flame coil hit it, and destabilized instantly. Boom. Explosion. Not destructive. Controlled. Directional. Fang Wei was forced backward for the first time. Silence. Then shock. He used alchemy mid-combat. What kind of technique is that? Instructor Liu's eyes widened slightly. He is blending alchemy principles into combat response. Fang Wei smiles. Instead of anger, Fang Wei smiled. Finally, something interesting. You're not normal, he said. Yi Chan replied calmly. Neither are you. A pause. Then Fang Wei laughed. Good. Now I can fight seriously. Second phase begins. Fang Wei's aura changed. Pressure expanded outward. Combat intent solidified. This was no longer testing. This was real combat. Flames rose behind him like wings. The crowd fell silent. Even observers from the inner sect appeared now. Watching, studying, Yi Chan stood still. But inside, wood energy stirred. Fire energy responded. And between them, that strange third pulse. Weak, but present. Fang Wei rushed again. But this time, faster, stronger. The ground cracked beneath his steps. Yi Chan closed his eyes for half a second. Then opened them. I see it now. The unexpected move. Instead of dodging, he stepped into the attack. Gasps erupted instantly. Is he crazy? But Yi Chan moved precisely. He adjusted his breathing, aligned with Fang Wei's energy flow. And at the exact moment of impact, he shifted slightly. The flame strike passed by his shoulder. Close. Too close. But controlled. Then Yi Chan touched Fang Wei's wrist. Just once, and injected a tiny burst of alchemical instability energy. Fang Wei froze. For half a second. That was enough. Counter-reaction. The energy inside Fang Wei's arm destabilized slightly. Not dangerous, but disruptive. His next attack faltered. Just slightly, but enough. Yi Chan stepped back. Reset distance. No panic. No aggression. Only observation. Silence spread through the arena. This was not overpowering. This was control warfare. Instructor Liu's thought. This is not combat style. This is reaction engineering. He looked at Yi Chan. What are you becoming? End of duel, temporary stalemate. Fang Wei exhaled slowly. He lowered his stance, then smiled again. You're annoying, but good. I'll remember this. Yi Chan replied calmly. I hope so. The battle ended without a winner. But everyone understood something. This was not the end. It was the beginning. Final scene, Hidden Eyes. Far above the arena, on a floating observation platform, an inner sect elder watched silently. He spoke once. That boy is not a normal alchemist. Another elder replied. Should we monitor him? The first elder nodded slowly. No. Place him under observation protocol. Level 3. Chapter 8, Inner Sect Attention. The duel with Fang Wei changed everything. Although no victor had been declared, the outcome mattered little. The entire outer sect had witnessed something unusual. A newly admitted alchemy disciple had stood against the combat division's greatest young genius and survived. Not only survived, he had forced Fang Wei to acknowledge him. In Green Cloud Sect, reputation spread faster than fire through dry grass. Within a single day, Yi Chan's name traveled across the outer sect. Within 3 days, it reached the inner sect. And within 7 days, the elders began paying attention. The unwanted fame. Yi Chan hated it, not because he feared attention, but because attention complicated things. His goal had never been fame. His goal was cultivation. Alchemy. Knowledge. The secrets hidden inside the strange memories that haunted his dreams. Yet now, wherever he walked, people stared. Some admired him. Others envied him. A few openly disliked him, especially the combat division disciples. To them, Fang Wei represented their pride. The fact that an alchemist had managed to fight him on equal footing felt insulting. As Yi Chan entered the alchemy hall one morning, several disciples whispered nearby. That's him, the one who fought Fang Wei. He doesn't even look strong. I heard he cheated with some strange powder. Yi Chan ignored them. Rumors were meaningless. Results were not. Instructor Liu's warning. That afternoon, Instructor Liu summoned him privately. The old man sat beside a small furnace, slowly refining medicinal paste. Without looking up, he spoke. You've become popular. Yi Chan sighed. I noticed. Do you know why popularity is dangerous? Yi Chan thought briefly. Because it attracts enemies. Instructor Liu smiled. And it attracts opportunities. The smile widened. Good. The old instructor finally looked at him. Most disciples only understand the first part. Liu placed several herbs onto the table. Silverleaf grass, fireheart petals, moonroot vine, all rare ingredients, far beyond anything beginner disciples usually handled. Yi Chan's eyes narrowed. These aren't beginner materials. No. Liu leaned back. Because you're no longer being treated like a beginner. Silence filled the room. Then Liu spoke again. The inner sect is watching. The hidden evaluation. Yi Chan remained calm. But inwardly, his attention sharpened. The duel. Liu nodded. The duel. Then he pointed toward the herbs. And what comes next? Every few years, talented outer sect disciples receive recommendations. For the inner sect. Perhaps. Liu smiled mysteriously. Or perhaps something better. Yi Chan immediately understood. This was a test. Not officially, but unofficially. Everything from this moment forward would be observed. Every success, every mistake, every decision. The new formula. That night, Yi-chan studied the ingredients carefully. Unlike previous lessons, no recipe had been provided. No instructions. No guidance. Only ingredients. And expectations. Most disciples would fail. Not because the ingredients were difficult, but because they were waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Yi-chan came from Earth. His mindset was different. He didn't ask, "What recipe should I follow?" He asked, "What recipe can I create?" The idea struck him instantly. Spirit nourishment pills restored energy. But they worked slowly. What if he improved them? Not stronger. Faster. The concept fascinated him. A pill designed for immediate absorption. Something useful during combat. Something valuable. Something unique. For 3 days he researched. For 3 nights he barely slept. Books, herb records, ancient refinement manuals. Everything he could find. Finally, a rough formula emerged. Not perfect. Not complete. But possible. Fang Wei's obsession. Meanwhile, Fang Wei trained like a madman. The duel had affected him more than anyone realized. For the first time in years, someone had surprised him. He stood alone atop a combat platform. Flames exploded around him. Training dummies melted. Stone cracked. Yet his thoughts remained elsewhere. Yi-chan, a combat cultivator, should have overwhelmed an alchemist. That was common sense. Yet Yi-chan's strange techniques had disrupted everything. A nearby disciple approached cautiously. "Senior Fang." "What?" "The rankings are being updated." Fang Wei barely listened. "Good." Then he added, "When Yi-chan enters the rankings." The disciple blinked. "Tell me." "The rankings." Every outer sect disciple cared about rankings. Power meant resources. Resources meant cultivation. Cultivation meant survival. The announcement arrived 3 days later. A massive stone monument activated in the center of the outer sect. Golden names appeared. Outer sect rankings. Rank 1 Fang Wei. Rank 2 Luo Tian. Rank 3 Meng Rui. Rank 47 Yi-chan. The crowd erupted instantly. "What? 47? He hasn't even been here long." An alchemist ranked above combat disciples. Many were furious. Others were impressed. Yi-chan merely glanced at the ranking before returning to the alchemy hall. Numbers meant little. Growth meant everything. The first creation. After countless attempts, Yi-chan finally succeeded. Inside his furnace rested 3 pale green pills. Small, unremarkable, yet different. Instructor Liu examined them carefully. His expression changed, then changed again. "You made this?" "Yes." "Without a recipe?" "Yes." Silence. Finally, Liu spoke. "This isn't refinement. It's creation." Yi-chan smiled faintly. That was exactly what he wanted. The origin seed awakens. That night, everything changed. Yi-chan sat cross-legged in meditation. Wood energy circulated. Fire energy followed. As always, the two forces clashed. But then, the third pulse appeared again. Stronger this time. Much stronger. Pain exploded through his meridians. Aargh. He nearly lost consciousness. Inside his spiritual sea, the burned tree appeared. Clearer than ever. Larger than ever. Alive. Its blackened branches stretched endlessly across darkness. Ancient runes glowed beneath the bark. For the first time, a voice spoke. Not aloud. Inside his soul. "Bearers." Yi-chan froze. The voice was ancient. Older than mountains. Older than nations. older than memory. The seed awakens. The tree trembled. Seek the first flame. Seek the eternal root. Before they find you. Then, everything vanished. Yi-chan opened his eyes violently. Sweat covered his body. His breathing was ragged. What was that? No answer came. Only silence. Deep beneath the sect. Far below Green Cloud Sect. Inside a forgotten underground chamber. Ancient formations activated. A sealed coffin trembled. Chains forged from spiritual metal rattled. Inside the darkness, something moved. A pair of crimson eyes opened. Slowly, deliberately, awakened. The hidden elders. High above the sect, several elders gathered. An old woman frowned. The origin fluctuations are increasing. Another elder nodded. We've detected them too. The source. A pause. Then one elder answered quietly. Outer sect. Silence filled the room. Finally, the oldest elder spoke. Watch the boy. Do not interfere. Not yet. Cliffhanger. Standing alone beneath the moonlight, Yi-chan stared toward the distant mountains. First flame. Eternal root. The words echoed endlessly in his mind. He didn't understand them. Not yet. But he knew one thing. The path ahead was becoming far more dangerous than he had imagined. And somewhere in the darkness, something ancient had already begun moving toward him. The night after the vision changed everything. Yi-chan sat motionless in his room, staring at the flickering oil lamp on his wooden desk. The flame danced quietly. Normal, peaceful, yet his heart remained unsettled. The voice still echoed in his mind. Seek the first flame. Seek the eternal root. Before they find you. Before who found him? What was the first flame? What was the eternal root? And perhaps most importantly, what exactly was the origin seed? Yi-chan exhaled slowly. For the first time since arriving in this world, he felt truly uncertain. Not about cultivation. Not about alchemy, but about himself. An impossible secret. The next morning, Yi-chan headed toward the library. The outer sect library wasn't impressive compared to the grand cultivation halls. Most disciples ignored it. Combat manuals attracted attention. Ancient sword arts attracted attention. Libraries did not. That suited Yi-chan perfectly. Rows of dusty books stretched endlessly. Herbal records, cultivation theories, sect history, ancient beast encyclopedias. Thousands of volumes. The elderly librarian barely looked up. Research again. Yi-chan nodded. The old man snorted. You're beginning to sound like an inner sect scholar. For the next several hours, Yi-chan searched. Fire-related records. Ancient spiritual roots. Historical cultivation anomalies. Anything remotely connected to his vision. Nothing. No first flame. No eternal root. No origin seed. It was as though those names had been erased from history, which only made them more important. The forgotten scroll. As sunset approached, Yi-chan prepared to leave. Then something caught his eye. A damaged scroll hidden behind a collapsed shelf. Covered in dust. Forgotten. Ignored. Curious, he pulled it free. The title had almost faded away. Records of ancient spiritual catastrophes. Interesting. He carefully opened it. Most pages were ruined. Unreadable. Destroyed by time. Then one passage remained intact. During the final years of the Rootfire era, certain cultivators sought power beyond heaven's laws. Their experiments led to the creation of forbidden seeds. These seeds connected life and destruction, creation and annihilation. Wood and fire. Yi-chan froze. Wood and fire. His spirit roots. His hands tightened around the scroll. History records that all such experiments failed. The surviving records were destroyed by the 7 great sects. Discussion forbidden. The text ended there. Someone had deliberately erased the rest. An unexpected visitor. As Yi Chan left the library, he sensed someone behind him. Not hostile, but watching. He turned. Fang Wei. Of course. You spend too much time reading, Fang Wei said. You spend too much time punching things. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Fang Wei laughed. Fair. They walked together through the sect pathways. An unusual sight. Their rivalry had become famous. Yet neither truly hated the other. Competition? Absolutely. Hostility? Not yet. Finally, Fang Wei spoke. You're hiding something. Yi Chan glanced sideways. Everyone is. Not like you. Silence. Then Fang Wei stopped walking. When we fought, I felt something. Yi Chan's expression remained calm. What kind of something? Fang Wei frowned. Ancient. The word struck Yi Chan harder than expected. Ancient. Exactly the same feeling he experienced whenever the burned tree appeared. Fang Wei crossed his arms. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't normal spiritual energy. Interesting. Very interesting. Because Fang Wei had sensed it. The ranking challenged. 3 days later, the outer sect rankings changed again. A challenge had been issued. Rank 39. A combat disciple named Zhou Ren. And his target was Yi Chan. The reason was obvious. Defeating Yi Chan meant instant recognition. The arena quickly filled. Whispers spread through the crowd. Another fight. Poor guy. He's challenging an alchemist. Others disagreed. That alchemist fought Fang Wei. Don't underestimate him. The battle begins. Zhou Ren entered confidently. Tall, muscular, late-stage body-tempering realm. Far stronger than most outer sect disciples. He pointed directly at Yi Chan. I don't care about your reputation. I only care about your rank. Yi Chan sighed. At least you're honest. The duel began immediately. Unlike Fang Wei, Zhou Ren relied entirely on brute force. His first strike shattered stone. His second created shockwaves. His third nearly cracked the arena floor. Powerful, but predictable. Alchemy in motion. Yi Chan had spent weeks studying reactions. Patterns, systems, timing. Combat was no different. Every fighter possessed rhythms. Every technique had weaknesses. Every movement created opportunities. As Zhou Ren attacked, Yi Chan observed. Calculated. Adapted. 1 step. 2 steps. 3. Suddenly, he moved. Not away. Forward. Exactly as he had done against Fang Wei. The crowd gasped. Again, the new technique. This time Yi Chan used something new. A pill. One of the modified pills he created. He crushed it. Instantly, green mist exploded outward. The audience panicked. Poison? No, it isn't poison. The mist attached itself to spiritual energy, destabilizing circulation. Not enough to injure, only enough to disrupt. Zhou Ren's next attack slowed. Just slightly. That was enough. Yi Chan stepped aside. Redirected momentum. And Zhou Ren stumbled. The arena erupted. Victory. Minutes later, the result became obvious. Zhou Ren could not land a decisive hit. Every attack was anticipated. Every movement countered. Finally, he conceded. I lose. Silence. Then cheers. Yi Chan had officially entered the top 40. without relying on overwhelming strength, without relying on brute force, using alchemy, using intelligence, using understanding. The elder's interest. Far above the arena, Elder Mo watched quietly. Beside him stood another elder. "What do you think?" Mo remained silent, then finally spoke. "He fights like an alchemist." The other elder laughed. "Isn't he one?" Mo shook his head. "No. Alchemists refine pills. He refines situations. The burned tree grows." That night, Yi-chan cultivated again. The moment his consciousness entered his spiritual sea, he froze. The burned tree had changed. Again, its roots were larger. Its branches stretched farther. And beneath it, something was emerging. A seed. Black, ancient, covered in glowing runes. The origin seed. For the first time, he saw it clearly. And for the first time, the seed opened slightly. A tiny crack. Just enough to release a single spark. A flame. Black flame. The moment it appeared, every spiritual energy current inside Yi-chan's body trembled. His wood and fire roots reacted violently. The burned tree swayed. The entire spiritual sea shook. Then, a vision. The ancient war. Fire. Endless fire. Burning heavens. Collapsing worlds. Gigantic trees larger than mountains. Ancient cultivators battling across stars. Black flames devouring suns. Golden roots piercing dimensions. A war beyond imagination. A war so old that history itself had forgotten it. And standing at the center, a figure, wrapped in black and green flames, holding a furnace larger than a mountain. The figure turned, looked directly at Yi-chan, and smiled. The cliffhanger. Yi-chan's eyes snapped open. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. His breathing became ragged. Who was that? Why had the figure looked at him? And why? Why did that ancient cultivator have his face? Outside his room, unseen by anyone, a shadowy figure stood atop a distant roof. Watching, waiting, and smiling. We've finally found him. Chapter 10, The Shadow Observer. The moment Yi-chan opened his eyes, the world felt different. Not physically. The wooden walls of his room remained unchanged. The moonlight still filtered through the window. The distant bells of Green Cloud Sect still echoed faintly across the mountains. Yet something had changed. Something fundamental. His breathing remained uneven. Sweat soaked his robes. A dull pain lingered behind his eyes. And his heart refused to calm. Because the face he had seen in the vision was his own. Not merely similar. Not a distant resemblance. Not coincidence. It had been him. Or someone who looked exactly like him. The ancient cultivator, standing amidst collapsing stars and burning worlds, had possessed his face. Yi-chan sat motionless for nearly an hour, trying to rationalize, trying to explain, trying to understand. Nothing made sense. Finally, he stood, walked toward the window, and stared at the moon. "Who are you?" No answer came. Only silence. Far beyond the outer sect. A shadow smiled. The watcher in darkness. The man stood atop a cliff overlooking Green Cloud Sect, hidden behind layers of concealment formations, invisible to ordinary cultivators. His robes were black, his face hidden beneath a silver mask. Ancient symbols glowed faintly across the mask's surface. His eyes never left Yi-chan's residence. "Interesting." The voice beneath the mask sounded amused. Far earlier than expected, a figure emerged from the darkness behind him. Another masked cultivator. The resonance increased. The first man nodded. Significantly, Are you certain? Completely. The second masked figure fell silent, then whispered words that would have terrified the entire cultivation world. The origin seed has awakened. Silence followed. Both men stared toward the sect, toward Yi Chan, toward destiny, the Order of Ashes, thousands of years ago, before Green Cloud Sect existed, before kingdoms rose and fell, before history became history. A secret organization had emerged, the Order of Ashes. Their purpose was simple: find the successors of the origin legacy. Destroy them. Everyone, without exception. For thousands of years they had hunted, watched, waited. Most believed they no longer existed. That assumption was wrong. They had simply become better at hiding. And now, their greatest target had appeared. Morning trouble. The next day, Yi Chan attempted to focus on normal training. Attempted. Failed. The vision refused to leave his thoughts. Even during alchemy lessons, his concentration wandered. Instructor Liu noticed immediately. You look terrible. Yi Chan sighed. Thank you. Several disciples laughed. Liu snorted. That wasn't a compliment. I know. The old instructor studied him carefully, then frowned. Something felt strange, different, as though an invisible pressure lingered around Yi Chan. Subtle, but present. Liu's instincts sharpened instantly. For reasons he couldn't explain, he suddenly felt uneasy. A new mission. That afternoon, a sect announcement arrived. Outer Sect Mission Board. Mandatory Resource Gathering Expedition. Location: Spirit Mist Valley. Participants: 20 Outer Sect disciples. Duration: 3 days. Reward: contribution points and cultivation resources. Ordinarily, such missions were routine, safe, predictable. But the moment Yi Chan read the notice, the burned tree stirred. For the briefest moment, his heart skipped a beat. Spirit Mist Valley. Something there mattered. He didn't know why. He only knew it was important. Fang Wei's invitation. Later that evening, Fang Wei appeared. As usual. Without warning. You accepted the mission. Yi Chan nodded. You. Obviously. A pause. Then Fang Wei folded his arms. Good. Yi Chan raised an eyebrow. Good. Fang Wei smirked. It would be boring otherwise. Typical Fang Wei. Everything became a competition. Even resource gathering. Hidden preparations. While Outer Sect disciples prepared for the expedition. Elsewhere, others prepared as well. Inside a hidden underground hall, silver masks reflected torchlight. Dozens of cultivators knelt before an ancient altar. The 2 observers from before stood at the front. The target leaves the sect tomorrow. Excitement spread through the room. Years of waiting. Years of searching. Finally, an opportunity. The objective remains unchanged. The masked leader spoke calmly. Capture if possible. Kill if necessary. Silence. Then every masked cultivator bowed. As commanded. Departure. The expedition left at dawn. 20 disciples. 2 supervising elders. Several transport beasts. Spirit Mist Valley lay nearly 200 miles from the sect. The journey would take most of the day. As the group traveled through mountain paths, Fang Wei naturally moved toward the front. Yi Chan remained near the middle. Observing, thinking, the burned tree remained strangely active. Not dangerous. Expectant. As though waiting. Spirit Mist Valley. They arrived before sunset. The valley was beautiful. Almost unnaturally so. Silver mist drifted across crystal-clear streams. Ancient trees towered overhead. Glowing flowers illuminated the darkness. Many disciples relaxed immediately. That was a mistake. The supervising elder's expression hardened. Never trust a beautiful cultivation location. Several disciples swallowed nervously. Good advice. The strange flower. The mission seemed ordinary at first. Gather herbs. Collect spirit crystals. Record beast activity. Simple. Then Yi-chan found it. A flower growing beside an ancient tree. Black petals. Golden roots. The moment he saw it, his vision blurred. A name appeared inside his mind. Root flame blossom. Yi-chan froze. He had never seen this plant before. Never studied it. Never read about it. Yet somehow, he knew its name. And something else. It was connected to the eternal root. The ambush begins. Elsewhere in the valley, several masked figures emerged from hidden caves. The Order of Ashes had arrived. Their leader studied a jade compass. The needle spun wildly, then pointed directly toward Yi-chan. A smile appeared beneath the mask. Found you. Nightfall. The camp settled quietly. Disciples rested. Elders cultivated. Guards rotated shifts. Everything appeared normal. Until midnight. The first scream echoed through the valley. Everyone woke instantly. A disciple stumbled into camp. Bleeding. Terrified. Attack. The word shattered the silence. Explosions erupted from the surrounding forest. Formation barriers shattered. Masked figures descended from every direction. Chaos erupted instantly. The first real battle. This wasn't a ranking match. This wasn't a sparring session. This wasn't training. People were trying to kill them. Yi-chan understood immediately. The difference was obvious. The atmosphere, the intent, the danger. Real battle felt different. Far more terrifying. Feng Wei erupted into action. Flames exploded across the battlefield. Several attackers were thrown backward instantly. Protect the camp. The supervising elders engaged enemy cultivators overhead. Shockwaves split trees. Spiritual techniques illuminated the night sky. And through all the chaos, one masked figure walked calmly toward Yi-chan. Directly toward him, ignoring everyone else. The target. Yi-chan's instinct screamed. Danger. Extreme danger. The masked man stopped 10 meters away. Then spoke. His voice was calm, almost friendly. We finally found you. Yi-chan's blood ran cold. Found him. The man raised a hand. A black flame appeared above his palm. The exact same black flame from Yi-chan's vision. The world seemed to stop. The burned tree exploded with activity inside Yi-chan's spiritual sea. The origin seed trembled violently. And for the first time, fear appeared in Yi-chan's eyes. Because whoever this man was, he knew something. Something about the origin seed. Something about the ancient war. Something about him. Cliffhanger. The masked man smiled beneath his silver mask. Then spoke a single sentence. A sentence that shattered everything Yi-chan thought he knew. Tell me, heir of the Alchemy Emperor. How much do you remember about your previous life? The black flame expanded. The origin seed cracked wider. And the night exploded into chaos. Chapter 11, Heir of the Alchemy Emperor. The black flame burned silently. No heat. No smoke. No light. Yet the moment it appeared, every cultivator within Spirit Mist Valley felt an instinctive chill. It was as though the flame itself rejected the natural laws of the world. Yi-chan stared at it. His breathing became uneven. The origin seed inside his spiritual sea trembled violently. The burned tree shook. Ancient runes flickered across its blackened bark. For the first time since arriving in this world, Yi-chan felt genuine fear. Not because he was weak, not because he faced a powerful enemy, but because the black flame felt familiar. Too familiar. The masked man lowered his hand. The black flame hovered above his palm like a living creature. Around them, battle raged. Disciples screamed. Explosions shook the valley. Spiritual techniques illuminated the night sky. Yet the world seemed distant, muted, as if only the two of them existed. Then the masked man spoke again. "Tell me, heir of the Alchemy Emperor, how much do you remember?" Yi-chan narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" The man laughed softly. "Interesting. You truly don't know." A strange expression appeared behind the silver mask. Amusement, disappointment, curiosity. Perhaps that's for the best. The black flame expanded slightly. Or perhaps not. The battle above. Far overhead, the supervising elders were losing. They had expected bandits, rogue cultivators, spirit beasts. Not this. The masked attackers fought with terrifying discipline. Every movement coordinated. Every attack calculated. Elder Sun blocked a sword strike. The impact shattered nearby trees. His face darkened. "Who are these people?" Across the battlefield, another elder was forced backward by a barrage of black flame techniques. The attackers weren't merely powerful. They were organized, prepared, as though they had planned this operation for years. Fang Wei's fury. Nearby, Fang Wei fought like a raging inferno. His flames devoured everything in their path. Several masked attackers lay unconscious around him. Yet his expression grew darker. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The attackers weren't interested in killing disciples. Most of them ignored everyone else. Instead, they repeatedly moved toward a single location. Toward Yi-chan. Realization struck instantly. He's their target. Fang Wei's eyes widened. Why? The origin seed reacts. Back on the battlefield, Yi-chan felt unbearable pressure. The masked man hadn't attacked. Not yet. Yet every instinct screamed danger. Inside his spiritual sea, the origin seed trembled. The tiny crack widened slightly. A faint pulse escaped. Black and green energy spread through his meridians. Pain exploded throughout his body. Alagh. Yi-chan nearly fell to one knee. The masked man's eyes widened behind the silver mask. It responds. For the first time, excitement appeared in his voice. It truly responds. Memories beyond time. Suddenly, the world vanished. Yi-chan found himself standing inside endless darkness. The burned tree towered above him, larger than ever before. Its branches stretched across the heavens. Its roots pierced infinite worlds. And beneath it stood a man. The same man from the vision. The man with Yi-chan's face. This time he was closer. Close enough to see clearly. Golden robes. Ancient eyes. An aura vast enough to eclipse mountains. The figure smiled. "You finally arrived." Yi-chan froze. "Who are you?" The man chuckled. An understandable question. A pause. Then he answered. "I am who you were." Silence. Yi-chan's heart nearly stopped. "What?" The man raised a hand. Countless stars appeared around them. Worlds, galaxies, dimensions, all revolving around the enormous burned tree. "I am Yi-chan." The figure smiled. "And so are you." The truth of transmigration. The ancient cultivator walked slowly toward him. "Thousands of years ago, I stood at the peak of cultivation. Alchemy Emperor, master of creation, guardian of the origin tree. Every word shook Yi-chan's soul. The figure continued. I failed. Pain appeared in his eyes. For the first time, a being capable of commanding stars. Showing regret. They came. The Ash Lords. The Seven Destroyers. The Order of Ashes. The names echoed through eternity. I fought. The stars trembled. I lost. The world shattered. The origin tree fell. The burned tree behind them groaned. Ancient wounds glowed across its bark. The origin seed survived. A black seed appeared in the figure's hand. And so did I. Earth was not an accident. Yi-chan's breathing stopped. The figure looked directly into his eyes. Your life on Earth was never an accident. The words struck like lightning. What? The ancient cultivator nodded. After my defeat, fragments of my soul crossed dimensions. One fragment entered Earth. One fragment became you. Yi-chan staggered backward. Impossible. Impossible. Yet everything suddenly made sense. The strange dreams. The visions. The familiarity. The memories. Even his transmigration. None of it had been random. The final instruction. The ancient cultivator's form began fading. Time was running out. You must listen carefully. The stars around them dimmed. The origin seed is awakening. So are they. Who? The figure's expression darkened. The Ash Lords. The true rulers behind the Order of Ashes. For the first time, fear entered the ancient cultivator's voice. They are immortal. They cannot be killed. They can only be sealed. The eternal root. The figure extended a finger. A map appeared. Ancient mountains. Ruined kingdoms. Forgotten temples. One location glowed brightly. A massive forest. At its center stood an enormous golden tree. The eternal root. Yi-chan stared. The same name from the vision. The first key. The first inheritance. The first step toward reclaiming your power. Return to reality. The vision shattered. Yi-chan's eyes snapped open. The battlefield returned instantly. Explosions. Fire. Chaos. Death. The masked man stood exactly where he had before. Yet now Yi-chan understood. At least partially. The man tilted his head. You saw something. Not a question. A statement. First manifestation. The masked cultivator attacked. For the first time, the black flame surged forward. Space itself distorted. The attack was impossible to dodge. Impossible to block. Impossible to survive. Yet the origin seed reacted. The crack widened. A tiny root emerged. Golden. Radiant. Ancient. The root wrapped around Yi-chan's soul. Then extended outward. The black flame collided with it. Silence. Absolute silence. The entire battlefield froze. Then, the flame disappeared. Simply disappeared. As though erased from existence. Everyone witnesses it. Every cultivator stopped fighting. Every disciple stared. Every elder froze. Even Fang Wei. Nobody understood what they had just seen. The masked man's eyes widened. For the first time, he looked afraid. The air confirmed. The silver-masked cultivator staggered backward. His voice trembled. Impossible. The eternal root. You've already awakened it. Yi-chan stared at his own hand. The tiny golden root faded slowly. Yet its warmth remained. Ancient. Comforting. Familiar. The masked man suddenly laughed. A strange laugh. Half madness. Half excitement. The prophecy was true. The battlefield fell silent. Then the man pointed directly at Yi-chan. and shouted loudly enough for the entire valley to hear. "He is the heir of the Alchemy Emperor." Cliffhanger. The words echoed across Spirit Mist Valley. Every disciple heard them. Every elder heard them. Fang Wei heard them. The Order of Ashes heard them. And somewhere far beyond the sect, across impossible distances, inside a forgotten palace buried beneath a sea of black fire, 7 ancient eyes opened simultaneously. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Ash Lords had awakened, and they were looking for Yi Chan. Chapter 12, The 7 Ash Lords. The words echoed across Spirit Mist Valley like a heavenly decree. He is the heir of the Alchemy Emperor. For a brief moment, the battlefield fell silent. The screams, the explosions, the clash of spiritual techniques. Everything seemed to stop. Every disciple stared at Yi Chan. Every elder froze. Even the masked attackers hesitated. The title carried a weight that few understood. Yet instinctively, everyone knew it was important. Dangerously important. The valley holds its breath. Yi Chan stood motionless. The faint golden root that had emerged from the origin seed had already vanished. Yet traces of its power lingered. A warm sensation flowed through his meridians. Unlike ordinary spiritual energy. Unlike wood chi. Unlike fire chi. This energy felt alive. Ancient. Timeless. As if it had existed before heaven and earth themselves. Across from him, the silver-masked cultivator staggered backward. Fear filled his eyes. Fear, a powerful cultivator who had confidently attacked Green Cloud sect, now looked terrified. The sight unsettled everyone. Fang Wei tightened his fists. His instincts screamed that something enormous had just happened. Something beyond sect politics. Beyond cultivation rankings. Beyond anything he had previously understood. For the first time in his life, Fang Wei felt small. Elder Sun's decision. High above the battlefield, Elder Sun wiped blood from the corner of his mouth. His robes were torn. His spiritual energy unstable. Yet his eyes remained sharp. "Protect Yi Chan." The command exploded across the battlefield. Several Green Cloud sect elders immediately reacted. "Protect him. Do not allow the attackers near him. Formation teams move." Outer sect disciples were stunned. "Protect Yi Chan. Not defend the camp. Not eliminate the enemy. Not retreat. Protect Yi Chan." The priority had changed instantly, which only confirmed how important the masked man's revelation truly was. "Retreat of the order." The silver-masked cultivator stared at Yi Chan. His hands trembled slightly. Then he suddenly laughed. A strange laugh. Not victorious. Not defeated. Relieved. So it is true. The prophecy survives. The masked cultivator raised both hands. "Withdraw." Instantly, every attacker stopped fighting. No hesitation. No resistance. The discipline shocked the sect elders. One command. One response. The attackers began retreating. Like shadows melting into darkness. Within moments, they were gone. Spirit Mist Valley became silent once more. Only corpses and destruction remained. Questions without answers. The disciples gathered nervously. Many were injured. Several had died. The reality of cultivation finally revealed itself. This was not a game. Not an adventure. People died. Good people. Talented people. Young people. Yi Chan stared at the battlefield. A familiar disciple lay motionless nearby. Someone he had spoken with only hours earlier. Now dead. The sight disturbed him deeply. His memories from Earth still influenced him. Death wasn't easy to accept, especially when it happened so suddenly. Fang Wei's question. Later that night, after emergency treatments were completed, Fang Wei found Yi Chan sitting alone beside a stream. Moonlight reflected across the water. Neither spoke for several moments. Finally, Fang Wei broke the silence. "Are you really some ancient emperor?" Yi Chan laughed bitterly. "I don't know." It was the truth. The vision had answered many questions and created dozens more. Fang Wei sat beside him. For perhaps the first time, he wasn't acting like a rival. He was simply confused. That root, what was it? Yi Chan stared into the water. "If I knew, I'd tell you." Return to Green Cloud Sect. The expedition ended early. The attack had changed everything. Spirit Mist Valley was no longer a simple resource mission. It had become a sect-level incident. News spread rapidly. Masked invaders, ancient powers, the heir of the Alchemy Emperor. Within days, rumors reached every corner of Green Cloud Sect. Some believed Yi Chan possessed a supreme inheritance. Others claimed he was a reincarnated immortal. A few insisted he was a disaster waiting to happen. The truth remained unclear. The secret meeting. 3 days later, Green Cloud Sect's highest elders gathered in secret. The room was protected by countless formations. No sound could escape. No spiritual sense could enter. At the center sat Sect Master Qing Yun, the strongest cultivator in Green Cloud Sect. An old man whose eyes seemed capable of seeing through destiny itself. Before him floated a recording crystal. The crystal replayed Yi Chan's battle. Again, and again, and again. The emergence of the golden root. The disappearance of the black flame. The declaration. Every detail was analyzed. Finally, Sect Master Qing Yun spoke. "What do we know about the Alchemy Emperor?" Silence followed. Then Elder Mo sighed. "Very little. Most records were destroyed. Some deliberately." The Sect Master frowned. "Destroyed by whom?" No one answered. Because everyone already knew. The Forbidden Archives. Far beneath Green Cloud Sect existed a place few knew about. The Forbidden Archives. Ancient records. Lost histories. Secrets too dangerous for ordinary disciples. That night, Sect Master Qing Yun entered alone. Dust covered countless shelves. Thousands of years of forgotten knowledge. He walked deeper, past sealed manuals, past ancient cultivation records, past forbidden techniques, until he reached a black stone pedestal. A single book rested atop it, bound in dark leather, untouched for centuries. The title had nearly faded. Yet one phrase remained visible. Chronicles of the Alchemy Emperor. 10,000 years earlier. The moment the Sect Master opened the book, ancient memories filled the pages. The Alchemy Emperor. The greatest alchemist in recorded history. Creator of countless legendary pills. Master of life and death. Guardian of the origin tree. At his peak, entire sects bowed before him. Kings begged for his guidance. Immortals sought his teachings. Yet one day, he vanished, along with 7 enemies known only as the Ash Lords. History ended there. Every following page had been torn out. Deliberately. Beyond the world. Far beyond Green Cloud Sect. Far beyond kingdoms. Far beyond known cultivation territories. A black sea stretched endlessly. Its waters burned. Black flames danced upon its surface. At the center stood a palace. Ancient, silent, terrifying. For 10,000 years it had remained dormant. Now it awakened. Inside the throne room sat 7 figures, each upon a massive throne, each radiating enough power to destroy worlds. The 7 Ash Lords. The first Lord. The first throne belonged to a giant clad in crimson armor. His body resembled molten metal. Fire leaked from cracks in his skin. His eyes opened slowly. The heir has appeared. His voice alone shook dimensions. The second lord. The second throne held a beautiful woman. Silver hair flowed endlessly behind her. Her smile looked gentle. Her eyes looked murderous. The seed survived after all. The third lord. A skeletal figure sat upon the third throne. Countless souls swirled around him. Laughing, crying, screaming. I want his soul. The fourth lord. A blind swordsman rested quietly, one hand on his weapon. The moment he opened his eyes, the universe itself seemed to split. The fifth lord. A child, or at least something resembling one. He giggled. The game begins again. The sixth lord. An ancient dragon, larger than mountains. Its golden eyes narrowed. The emperor's bloodline remains troublesome. The seventh lord. The final throne remained hidden in darkness. No one could see its occupant clearly. Only a pair of eyes. Watching, waiting, calculating. The ancient prophecy. At the center of the throne room floated an ancient tablet. Cracks covered its surface. Yet one prophecy remained visible. When the seed awakens, the root shall rise. When the root rises, the emperor returns. When the emperor returns, ash shall consume heaven. Silence filled the room. Then the first Ash Lord laughed. A terrible laugh. 10,000 years. We have waited 10,000 years. Yi Chan's new resolve. Back at Green Cloud Sect, Yi Chan sat atop a mountain cliff. The stars filled the night sky. His thoughts remained turbulent. The Alchemy Emperor. The Origin Seed. The Eternal Root. The Ash Lords. The weight of destiny pressed heavily upon him. Yet one realization became increasingly clear. Whether he wanted this responsibility or not. The enemies were already moving. Running would solve nothing. Ignoring it would change nothing. If he wished to survive, he needed strength. Real strength. Not talent. Not luck. Power. Enough power to challenge beings who had survived for 10,000 years. The mysterious summons. As dawn approached, a figure appeared behind him. Instructor Liu. The old man looked unusually serious. Come with me. Yi Chan turned. Where? Liu hesitated, then spoke words that changed everything again. The sect master wishes to meet you. Chapter end cliffhanger. Far beneath Green Cloud Sect. Deep within forgotten tunnels. A sealed stone door trembled. Ancient runes flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. For the first time in thousands of years. The seal was weakening. And behind that seal, something connected to the Alchemy Emperor was awakening. Something that had been waiting for Yi Chan. Chapter 13, The Sect Master's Secret. The first rays of dawn stretched across Green Cloud Sect's mountain peaks. Golden sunlight spilled over ancient stone pathways, illuminated floating pavilions, and painted the sea of clouds beneath the sect in shades of gold and silver. Normally, disciples would already be gathering for morning cultivation. Today, however, Yi Chan barely noticed the scenery. His thoughts remained occupied by Instructor Liu's words. The sect master wishes to meet you. In Green Cloud Sect, most disciples would spend their entire lives without personally meeting sect master Qing Yun. Even many elders rarely stood before him. Yet now the strongest cultivator in the sect had summoned Yi Chan directly. Something important was about to happen. Very important. The journey to Cloud Heaven Peak. Instructor Liu led the way. Neither spoke. The atmosphere felt unusually heavy. They traveled far beyond the outer sect. Past the inner sect. Past the core disciple region. Past areas Yi Chan had never been permitted to enter. The higher they climbed, the denser spiritual energy became. Streams flowed with liquid spiritual essence. Ancient trees radiated powerful life force. Birds with golden feathers flew through the sky. Even the air itself seemed different, more alive. Eventually, they reached a mountain, unlike any Yi-chan had seen before. Cloud Heaven Peak, the highest mountain in Green Cloud Sect. A place reserved exclusively for the sect master. Its summit appeared to pierce the heavens. Clouds spiraled around its slopes. Ancient formations glowed beneath the stone. The mountain itself seemed alive. Yi-chan immediately felt pressure. Not hostile pressure, ancient pressure, as though countless generations of cultivators had left their will behind. The Guardian. Halfway up the mountain path, they encountered an old man sweeping leaves. Nothing unusual at first glance. Simple gray robes. Ordinary broom. No visible cultivation. Yet the moment Yi-chan looked at him, the origin seed stirred. A warning. The old man glanced upward. Their eyes met. For a brief moment, Yi-chan felt as though an entire world was staring at him. Then the feeling vanished. The old man smiled. Interesting. Only one word. Yet it carried immense meaning. Instructor Liu immediately bowed. Deeply. Far deeper than he had ever bowed before. Yi-chan instantly understood. This ordinary-looking old man was terrifying. The old man laughed softly. No need to be nervous. His gaze remained fixed on Yi-chan. The boy carries much destiny. Then he resumed sweeping. As if nothing had happened. The hall above the clouds. Finally, they reached the summit. A single palace stood there. Simple, elegant, ancient. No excessive decorations. No grand displays. No guards. Yet the palace radiated authority. This was the heart of Green Cloud Sect. The place from which generations of leaders had guided the sect. Instructor Liu stopped before the entrance. I can go no farther. Yi-chan nodded. Then stepped forward. The doors opened automatically. Sect Master Qing-yun. The hall interior appeared surprisingly modest. Bookshelves lined the walls. Ancient scrolls filled wooden cabinets. A tea set rested atop a small table. At the center sat an elderly man. White hair, simple robes, gentle eyes, no overwhelming aura, no visible power. Yet Yi-chan immediately knew. This was Sect Master Qing-yun, the strongest cultivator in Green Cloud Sect. The man smiled. Come. Yi-chan approached carefully. The sect master poured tea, then gestured toward the seat opposite him. Sit. For several moments, neither spoke. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It felt deliberate, as though Qing-yun was studying him. Not his appearance, not his cultivation. Something deeper, an unexpected question. Finally, Qing-yun spoke. Do you remember Earth? The teacup nearly slipped from Yi-chan's hand. His heart stopped. For the first time since arriving in this world, someone had mentioned Earth. Directly, Yi-chan stared. The sect master's expression remained calm. Almost amused. You seem surprised. How do you know about Earth? Qing-yun smiled. Because I have met others. Silence. Absolute silence. Yi-chan's mind exploded. Others. Other transmigrators. Was that even possible? The truth about transmigration. Qing-yun leaned back. Throughout history, certain souls have crossed worlds. They appear rarely. Sometimes once every 1,000 years. Sometimes once every 10,000. Yi-chan listened carefully. This information changed everything. He wasn't unique. At least not entirely. The sect master continued. Most arrive accidentally. Some are summoned. And a very small number. His eyes narrowed slightly. Are sent. Yi Chan's pulse quickened. Sent? By whom? The answer came immediately. The Alchemy Emperor. The hidden book. Qing Yun reached beneath the table. A thick ancient book appeared, bound in black leather. The same book from the Forbidden Archives. Chronicles of the Alchemy Emperor. Yi Chan instantly recognized it. The moment the book appeared, the origin seed pulsed. Strongly, Qing Yun noticed. Interesting. Very interesting. The Emperor's last student. The sect master opened the book. Most pages remained damaged, destroyed, yet one section survived. A portrait, an old cultivator standing beside the Alchemy Emperor. Yi Chan stared. Something felt familiar. Then realization struck. The old man sweeping leaves. The mountain guardian. The portrait showed him, thousands of years younger, yet unmistakably him. Yi Chan's eyes widened. Qing Yun nodded. You noticed? The guardian is older than Green Cloud Sect. Far older. A living legend. The revelation shook Yi Chan. Older than Green Cloud Sect. The sect had existed for nearly 8,000 years. That was impossible. Unless the old man was connected directly to the Alchemy Emperor. Qing Yun seemed to read his thoughts. He was one of the Emperor's final disciples. Boom. The words hit harder than any attack. A direct disciple. Alive. After 10,000 years. The hidden legacy. The sect master stood. Come with me. He led Yi Chan deeper into the palace. Past libraries. Past cultivation chambers. Past hidden formations. Until they reached a sealed stone wall. Ancient runes covered its surface. The moment Yi Chan approached, the runes activated. Golden light spread across the wall. The origin seed pulsed violently. Then, the wall opened. The secret chamber. Beyond the wall lay a hidden underground chamber. Dust covered the floor. Ancient formations flickered weakly. At the center stood a pedestal, and upon that pedestal rested a furnace. A small furnace, black and gold, covered in dragon carvings. Ancient runes glowed across its surface. The moment Yi Chan saw it, his soul trembled. Memories surfaced. Fragments, tiny pieces, not from Earth, not from this world. Something older. The Heaven Origin Furnace. Qing Yun's voice echoed softly. The Heaven Origin Furnace. The Alchemy Emperor's personal furnace. The chamber shook. The origin seed erupted with activity. Golden roots spread through Yi Chan's spiritual sea. The burned tree swayed violently. The furnace responded. Its runes ignited. One by one. The inheritance test. Suddenly, the world disappeared. Yi Chan found himself standing within endless darkness once more. The Heaven Origin Furnace floated before him. Ancient, majestic, terrifying. A voice echoed throughout the void. Inheritance candidate detected. Verification beginning. The furnace opened. Golden flames emerged. Not ordinary fire. The first flame. The same flame from the Emperor's memories. The trial. The voice continued. 3 questions. 3 answers. Failure results in rejection. Yi Chan took a deep breath. The first flame hovered nearby. Watching. Waiting. Question 1. The voice asked, what is alchemy? A simple question, yet infinitely complex. Yi Chan thought carefully, then answered, alchemy is creation. The flame remained silent. Yi Chan continued, it is understanding change, understanding life, understanding possibility. The first flame brightened. Question 2. What is power? Yi Chan remembered Earth, remembered weakness, remembered death, remembered Spirit Mist Valley. Then answered, power is responsibility. Without responsibility, power becomes destruction. The furnace trembled approvingly. Question 3. The final question arrived. Why do you seek immortality? Yi Chan froze. This question mattered. Deeply. The wrong answer could cost everything. After a long silence, he spoke honestly. I don't seek immortality. The void became silent. Even the flame stopped moving. Yi Chan continued. I seek enough time. Enough time to learn. Enough time to protect. Enough time to choose my own path. Silence lingered. Then, the furnace exploded with golden light. Success. The voice echoed throughout eternity. Verification complete. Success. Inheritance accepted. The first flame entered Yi Chan's body. The origin seed absorbed it instantly. Golden roots expanded. The burned tree began transforming. Its black bark slowly revealed traces of gold. For the first time, healing had begun. The traitor revealed. Meanwhile, elsewhere within Green Cloud Sect, a hidden figure knelt before a communication crystal. A familiar elder. One trusted by everyone. One respected by the sect. The crystal flickered. A masked face appeared. Order of Ashes. The elder lowered his head. The heir has entered the inheritance chamber. Silence followed. Then the masked figure smiled. Excellent. The next phase may begin. Chapter end cliffhanger. Back within the secret chamber, Yi Chan opened his eyes. The Heaven Origin furnace floated before him. No longer dormant. No longer silent. And within its depths, a shadow appeared. A figure sitting cross-legged. Watching him, smiling, the Alchemy Emperor, or what remained of him. And for the first time, the Emperor spoke directly. At last, my successor has arrived. Chapter 14, The First Inheritance. The secret chamber trembled. Ancient runes illuminated the darkness. The Heaven Origin furnace floated silently above the stone pedestal, radiating golden light that seemed capable of piercing eternity itself. Yi Chan stood motionless. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. His breathing slowed. His thoughts vanished, because the figure seated within the furnace's endless interior had spoken. At last, my successor has arrived. The voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It carried a weight beyond cultivation, beyond history, beyond time itself. The figure slowly opened his eyes. Golden flames reflected within them. Entire galaxies seemed to rotate in their depths. Ancient wisdom, infinite experience, unimaginable loneliness. The Alchemy Emperor, or rather, a fragment of him, a remnant left behind across 10,000 years. For several moments, neither spoke. The Emperor simply observed, studied, measured. Then he smiled, a little weaker than I expected. Yi Chan blinked. What? The Emperor laughed. Relax. The laughter felt surprisingly human. Not the laughter of an immortal legend. Not the laughter of a supreme expert. Simply a man. A very old man. The first conversation. The Emperor crossed his arms. So, which question should we begin with? Yi Chan immediately answered. Everything. The Emperor burst out laughing. Good answer. Unfortunately, impossible. The smile faded. A trace of sadness appeared. My remaining soul fragment won't last long. The chamber fell silent. 10,000 years. Even legends eventually faded. The emperor continued. I can answer some questions. I can guide you. But most answers. His gaze turned distant. You must discover yourself. The truth about the origin seed. Yi Chan took a deep breath. Then tell me about the origin seed. Immediately, the emperor's expression became serious. Very serious. The origin seed is not a treasure. It is not a cultivation technique. It is not an inheritance. Yi Chan frowned. Then what is it? The emperor looked directly into his eyes. The origin seed is a world. Silence. Absolute silence. Yi Chan wasn't sure he heard correctly. World. The emperor nodded. Long before cultivators existed. Before sects. Before immortal realms. There existed the origin tree. As he spoke, the burned tree inside Yi Chan's spiritual sea appeared. The emperor continued. The origin tree gave birth to life itself. Every spiritual root. Every element. Every law. Everything began there. Yi Chan's heart nearly stopped. Such a revelation shattered everything he understood. The emperor smiled bitterly. Then came greed. The fall of the origin tree. The void around them changed. Ancient memories appeared. Countless cultivators filled the heavens. Entire galaxies burned. Immortal armies marched across stars. And at the center stood the origin tree. Vast, infinite, beautiful. The emperor's voice echoed. They wanted its power. They wanted eternity. They wanted control. So they destroyed the source. The vision showed endless attacks striking the tree. Roots shattered. Branches burned. Worlds collapsed. Yi Chan watched in horror. The origin tree wasn't defeated. It was betrayed. The 7 Ash Lords. The emperor's expression darkened. They led the attack. The 7 Ash Lords. Immediately, the void revealed 7 figures. Each radiated unimaginable power. Even as memories, their presence felt oppressive. They were once heroes. The emperor's voice carried regret. My closest allies. Boom. The words struck harder than any revelation before. What? The emperor nodded. The 7 Ash Lords once fought beside me. The images shifted. The emperor standing alongside 7 companions. Laughing, training, conquering impossible challenges together. Friends, brothers, family. Then greed appeared. Fear, obsession, the desire to surpass death itself. And everything changed. The price of immortality. The Ash Lords feared mortality. They feared loss. They feared endings. The emperor sighed. So they sought immortality. Yi Chan remembered the prophecy. The Black Sea. The Burning Palace. The 7 Thrones. The emperor continued. They succeeded. But success became corruption. They abandoned humanity. They abandoned balance. They abandoned everything. The emperor closed his eyes. Even friendship. The successor's burden. The void disappeared. The chamber returned. The emperor looked at Yi Chan carefully. I know what you're thinking. You don't want this responsibility. Yi Chan remained silent. Because it was true. He never asked to become anyone's successor. Never asked to inherit an ancient war. Never asked to fight immortal monsters. The emperor smiled knowingly. Neither did I. The answer surprised him. What? The emperor laughed softly. I wanted to become an alchemist. That's all. The words felt strangely familiar. Because they mirrored Yi Chan's own dream. The first inheritance. The emperor stood. Golden flames erupted around him. The heaven origin furnace responded immediately. Runes illuminated every surface. The entire chamber shook. The first inheritance is not power. Yi Chan frowned. Then what is it? The emperor pointed toward the furnace. Understanding. The furnace opened slowly. Inside floated countless glowing symbols. Millions. Billions. Ancient alchemical formulas. Lost recipes. Cultivation theories. Medicinal principles. An entire civilization of knowledge. Yi Chan stared speechlessly. The emperor's path. The strongest alchemists do not create pills. The emperor's voice echoed. They create possibilities. The symbols began flowing around Yi Chan. Each one carried information. Knowledge beyond imagination. The process should have overwhelmed him instantly. Destroyed his mind. Yet the origin seed protected him. Filtering. Organizing. Preserving. The first technique. Among endless knowledge, one technique separated itself. A single golden symbol. Brighter than the others. The emperor smiled. This belongs to you. The symbol entered Yi Chan's forehead. Pain exploded through his consciousness. Ancient information flooded his mind. Then words appeared. Origin Alchemy Art, first chapter. Yi Chan's eyes widened. This wasn't ordinary alchemy. This was something entirely different. A system capable of refining. Pills, weapons, beasts, spiritual roots. Cultivation itself. Even destiny. The heaven origin furnace chooses. The emperor watched quietly. Then nodded. Good. The furnace accepts you. The heaven origin furnace suddenly shrank. From the size of a building to the size of a fist. It floated toward Yi Chan, then merged into his dantian. The moment it entered, everything changed. His wood and fire roots resonated. The origin seed glowed. The burned tree gained another golden branch. His cultivation surged. Body tempering realm peak. Immediately. Without effort. Outside the chamber. Elsewhere. Trouble was brewing. The traitor within Green Cloud sect finally acted. Elder Zhao. Respected. Trusted. Powerful. And secretly loyal to the Order of Ashes. For decades he had waited. Now the heir had appeared. The inheritance had begun. Which meant one thing. The time for patience was over. Fang Wei's discovery. Meanwhile, Fang Wei explored restricted archives. Entirely by accident. Or so he claimed. While investigating Spirit Mist Valley records, he discovered something strange. Ancient documents mentioning the Order of Ashes. One page survived. Only one sentence remained legible. Beware the enemy within. Fang Wei frowned. Enemy within. What did that mean? The Emperor's final gift. Back in the inheritance space, the Emperor's form began fading. Rapidly. Time was running out. Yi Chan noticed immediately. Wait. The Emperor smiled. It's fine. No soul fragment lasts forever. For the first time, the legendary Alchemy Emperor looked tired. Not physically, spiritually, like someone who had carried a burden for too long. The last lesson. The Emperor walked forward, then placed a hand on Yi Chan's shoulder. The touch felt warm, human, real. Listen carefully. His voice became serious. The Ash Lords are not your greatest enemy. Yi Chan froze. What? The Emperor nodded. The greatest enemy is despair. Silence. The moment you believe victory is impossible. You have already lost. The Emperor smiled one final time. And never trust anyone completely. The warning felt important. Very important. Farewell. Golden light began consuming the Emperor's body. His soul fragment had reached its limit. Yet his expression remained peaceful. Satisfied, as if seeing Yi Chan was enough. As your predecessor, the emperor laughed softly. I leave the rest to you. His body dissolved. The chamber became silent, and the alchemy emperor vanished forever. Cliffhanger. The moment the emperor disappeared, a violent explosion shook Green Cloud Sect. BOOM. The entire mountain trembled. Formation alarms activated instantly. Warning bells echoed across every peak. Disciples rushed outside. Elders drew weapons. Sect Master Qing Yun's face darkened, because he recognized the attack. Black flames, ash symbols, Order of Ashes. They had arrived, and among their forces stood a familiar figure. Elder Zhao, the traitor, smiling openly, no longer hiding, no longer pretending. And behind him, a gigantic portal of black fire began opening above Green Cloud Sect. Something enormous was coming through. Something that should never have awakened. Chapter 15, The Traitor's Rebellion. The explosion shook all 9 peaks of Green Cloud Sect. Ancient formations trembled. Stone pathways cracked. Thousands of disciples rushed from their residences in confusion. Warning bells rang continuously across the mountains. The sound echoed like a funeral hymn. For centuries, Green Cloud Sect had stood as one of the strongest powers within the Azure River region. Its defensive formations had survived beast tides. It had survived wars. It had survived countless calamities. Yet now, something had penetrated its defenses, and everyone could feel it. An ancient danger had arrived. The portal of black fire. Above Green Cloud Sect's central peak, a gigantic portal burned across the sky. Black flames stretched for hundreds of meters. The heavens themselves appeared corrupted. Clouds dissolved into ash. Stars disappeared behind darkness. Even sunlight seemed afraid to approach. Disciples stared upward in horror. What is that? An invasion. Who could attack Green Cloud Sect? Impossible. Fear spread rapidly. Because the portal radiated power far beyond anything most disciples had ever experienced. It felt ancient. Wronged. As though it did not belong in this world. Elder Zhao reveals himself. At the center of the chaos stood Elder Zhao. No longer disguised. No longer hiding. His gentle smile had vanished. The kind and respected elder everyone knew was gone. In his place stood a man wearing black robes decorated with silver ash symbols. Dark flames coiled around his body. His cultivation surged endlessly. 1 realm, 2 realms, 3 realms higher than anyone had believed possible. Gasps erupted across the sect. He was hiding his cultivation. Impossible. How long has he been deceiving us? Even some elders looked stunned. They had worked beside Zhao for decades. Shared meals. Shared missions. Shared victories. Now they realized none of it had been real. The Sect Master's fury. High above Cloud Heaven Peak, Sect Master Qing Yun appeared. For the first time since Yi Chan arrived in this world. The Sect Master looked angry. Truly angry. His calm expression disappeared. His eyes blazed like stars. The surrounding spiritual energy began trembling. Mountains shook. Rivers changed direction. Clouds parted. The mere release of his aura transformed the environment. Zhao, the Sect Master's voice echoed across the heavens. You disappoint me. Elder Zhao laughed. Disappoint? His smile widened. You still don't understand. I was never yours. The words struck harder than any weapon. A betrayal centuries in the making. Elder Zhao raised his hand. Dark energy gathered around him. The Order of Ashes placed me here 347 years ago. Silence followed, Absolute silence. Several elders nearly collapsed. 300 years. 3 centuries. That was longer than many sect members had been alive. Longer than multiple generations. The realization terrified everyone. Green Cloud sect had been infiltrated before most current disciples were even born. Yi-chan emerges. Meanwhile, beneath Cloud Heaven Peak, the hidden inheritance chamber opened. Yi-chan stepped outside. Immediately, he sensed the chaos. The portal, the black flames, the battle, and most importantly, the Heaven Origin Furnace. For the first time, the furnace actively communicated with him. Not through words, through instinct, through understanding. Danger, extreme danger. The furnace vibrated softly within his dantian, almost as if warning him, or preparing him. Fang Wei's discovery. Elsewhere within the sect, Fang Wei sprinted through ancient archives. His heart raced. Moments earlier, he had uncovered something horrifying. Several missing records, secret financial transactions, manipulated mission assignments, cultivators who vanished mysteriously. Everything connected to one person. Elder Zhao. The evidence was overwhelming. Years of sabotage. Years of preparation. Years of manipulation. The traitor hadn't merely infiltrated Green Cloud sect. He had reshaped it from within. The first wave. The black portal expanded. Then, something emerged. A hand. Massive. Larger than an entire building. Black scales covered its surface. Ancient runes glowed between the scales. The sight alone made weaker disciples collapse. Pressure descended upon the entire sect. Unimaginable pressure. Even elders struggled to breathe. Then a second hand emerged. And a third. And a fourth. The creature was enormous. Far larger than any beast Yi-chan had ever encountered. The Ash Titan. Sect Master Qing Yun's expression darkened. Ash Titan. The word spread fear among the elders. Several immediately recognized the name. Ancient battlefield weapons. Living disasters. Constructs capable of destroying entire sects. Most historians believed they had gone extinct thousands of years ago. Apparently not. The Order's true goal. Elder Zhao looked toward Yi-chan. Directly toward him. A smile appeared. There he is. Instantly, every Order of Ashes cultivator focused on Yi-chan. Not the sect master. Not the elders. Yi-chan. The heir. The origin seed bearer. The battle begins. Without warning, the Ash Titan attacked. Its fist descended from the heavens. The sky darkened. Mountains shattered beneath the pressure. Sect Master Qing Yun moved. For the first time, his sleeve waved gently. A simple motion. Yet the heavens responded. Spiritual energy condensed into a gigantic sword of light. The sword collided with the Titan's fist. Boom. The explosion illuminated the entire region. Shockwaves spread for hundreds of miles. Countless disciples were thrown backward. Buildings collapsed. Forests vanished. Yi-chan's first battlefield. For the first time in his life, Yi-chan stood within a true cultivation war. Not a duel. Not a mission. War. Real war. The difference was terrifying. Everywhere he looked, people fought. People bled. People died. The reality of cultivation revealed itself completely. Strength decided survival. Weakness invited death. The Heaven Origin Furnace awakens. Suddenly, the furnace vibrated. A stream of information appeared within Yi-chan's mind. Origin Alchemy Art. First function. Battle Refinement. Yi-chan froze. Battle Refinement. Before he could think further, The furnace activated. The world changed. A new vision. Spiritual energy became visible. Every cultivator appeared surrounded by streams of colored energy. Every technique revealed hidden flaws. Every weapon displayed weaknesses. Every battlefield interaction became understandable. Yi Chan's eyes widened. The furnace wasn't simply an alchemy tool. It was analyzing reality itself. First, refinement. Nearby, a wounded disciple stumbled backward. An order cultivator prepared a killing strike. Without thinking, Yi Chan acted. The furnace activated. A burst of fire and wood energy flowed together. The attacking technique entered the furnace's perception. Then, changed, refined. Its structure collapsed instantly. The attack disintegrated before reaching its target. Both cultivators froze, including Yi Chan. It worked. Understanding the technique. The origin alchemy art didn't overpower techniques. It improved them, or dismantled them. Everything possessed flaws. Everything could be refined. Even enemy attacks. The realization was terrifying. Elder Zhao notices. Far above, Elder Zhao's eyes widened. The furnace. His voice trembled. He inherited it. For the first time, genuine fear appeared on the trader's face. Because he understood what the Heaven Origin furnace represented. The Ash Lord's servant. The portal suddenly expanded again. Something stepped through. A humanoid figure. Tall, ancient, wrapped entirely in black armor. Its eyes glowed crimson. Its presence eclipsed every cultivator present except Qing Yun. Even Elder Zhao bowed respectfully. The figure descended slowly. Each step cracked space itself. Silence filled the battlefield. Then the armored being spoke. Its voice sounded like countless souls screaming simultaneously. The Heir. Its gaze locked onto Yi Chan. I have come to retrieve him. The servant of the first Ash Lord. Sect Master Qing Yun immediately recognized the newcomer. His expression became grave. Crimson Executor. Several elders turned pale. Legends. Ancient legends. The Crimson Executor was said to be the personal servant of the first Ash Lord. A being that had survived 10,000 years. A monster responsible for the destruction of entire sects. And now it stood before them. Fang Wei's decision. Across the battlefield, Fang Wei clenched his fists. Logic told him to retreat. Everyone knew the situation was hopeless. Yet he couldn't. Not anymore. Yi Chan was his rival. His friend. The person he intended to surpass someday. Allowing others to kill him was unacceptable. Fang Wei stepped forward. Flames erupted around him. I don't care who you are. The Crimson Executor looked down. Almost amused. Yi Chan's resolve. Yi Chan watched the battlefield. The deaths. The destruction. The sacrifices. Everything happening because of him. Because he possessed the origin seed. Because he inherited the Emperor's legacy. A heavy feeling settled inside his chest. Then the Emperor's final words resurfaced. The greatest enemy is despair. Slowly, Yi Chan stepped forward. The Heaven Origin furnace appeared above his palm. Golden flames emerged. The origin seed pulsed. The first golden root manifested. And for the first time since inheriting the Emperor's legacy, Yi Chan chose to fight as its successor. Cliffhanger. The Crimson Executor stopped moving. Its crimson eyes widened slightly. Because behind Yi Chan, a phantom figure appeared. Transparent, ancient, majestic, the image of the Alchemy Emperor. The battlefield froze. Even the Ash Titan stopped moving. Even Elder Zhao looked terrified. The Emperor's phantom opened its eyes, then looked directly at the Crimson Executor. and spoke one sentence. The same sentence spoken 10,000 years ago during the final war. Kneel. The heavens trembled, and the Crimson Executor's legs began bending. Against its own will,